start to cascade further and further, and of course, you get that 1,000 points for the victory royale. And it goes to show, like, looking at the leaderboards yesterday, I saw a team qualify to Sunday. It's just 3 decent games, but it doesn't feel like that in the moment.
What Fadil and Judo really did best there, though, was front side of zone, and they cleared a path for themselves. Everyone else is going to have to run straight to them, and they're doing a great job at just gatekeeping that edge of zone they were at. But Lucy Zangi will have a lot to overcome. They want to make it in, but it seems like disaster has struck. We look away for 1 second, Jacob, and all of a sudden, it's Fadil by himself. He at least has the pizza box to work with, but Pastroki, Repairs, Toyota, they're all making their way forward. And for what looked like a solid spot to be in, now might be worst case scenario. But Fadil, we've seen the solo clutches before.
Yeah, and it's only 4 players that need to go down. You can attempt to out-heal this Pacino. He doesn't have the amount of heals needed to survive the Storm Surge. For now, it is going to be the med kit, but the zone is also moving in. But he gets a little bit of a cutback, extra time to work with, and it's time that he desperately needs because he's in on a clock, and that clock is running down fast. 3 more ticks. That's all he can take. Less than 20 seconds. Chino has to make a move. Nobody's falling, Taco. 4 players, and Storm Surge is no longer a worry.
And Chino, he's trying to see if he can get the shot, but he won't make it. A player lying in wait. He'll go down, but Fadil still keeping the ball rolling here. 187 above, 1 pizza slice, 1 overdrive grenade, lurking, crouching, waiting, hoping that he can find another big shot. Everything at this stage, waiting to see if he can deliver another big win here. But Akira and Karama, they've at least found Liam, and that'll be enough to buy them some good time.
It feels like they're not forcing fights or eliminations. They're kind of letting the game naturally present itself. And there goes another one on the Repairs, back to back, as they take down Fastroki as well. But it comes with its own sacrifice. Akira is going to fall. All the pressure now onto Karama's shoulders.
You look one way, you got to make sure you're checking the next, and Fadil takes down Visuals. That's the exact sort of refresh that he's hoping for. Every little bit of siphon materials to help catapult him forward, and now he's feeling confident enough. Why not take another layer up? He's trying to see if he can make it through on that secondary height position, and not only that, looking downwards, trying to see if he can gauge whether or not there's a player more in tatters than him for him to try and eliminate. He'll drop down, he's got the movement effects, waiting, but no options just yet.
And all that's going down below. Podeside's gonna fall. Nutty and Gazzetta, they went ahead and Shockwave to take the high ground. There's a new team high up in the clouds that everybody has to worry about. Cut through the middle is gonna be King and Praise. They're trying to take position of the front side of the zone. Meanwhile, Fadil and Karama are doing their best as solos here. They're one of few solos actually left in this game.
As long as they can stay towards the front side, they might be able to make it out, but Ritual and Ager is now front side low. They'll have the best opportunities out of everyone to see who is more scraps than them. Ritual only has 1 build remaining, but Fadil, he's found his target. He won't be able to bring it out, though, and that's going to be the end of the run here. Craze and Kindling, though, still making their way forward.
Yep, Nutty Gaps Harris is not letting anybody down below feel comfortable, especially for those players on second height, as Virgo looking to go big, lands that 1 shot, but being by yourself means you have to play a little bit careful and a little less loose. Down below, those eliminations get steamrolled by King and Craze, but again, it all comes with a sacrifice. Now Craze is going to be left by himself. They have 5 eliminations. They're trying to push themselves into the top 5, and every single point matters. With Aegis of Ritual, they're going to get that elimination, but again, it costs them as well.
Ritual and Aegis thought they had that front side control, but you just can't afford to look away. Now Virgo gonna try send it onto high. Karama has fallen. Virgo won't make it out. Nudie and Gabzetta might just be finding themselves in the finals battle bus, Jacob. All they need to do is seal the deal here up against Ritual.
Hey, he's gonna take the fight to that first Shockwave. Oh my, that was big. Nudie and Gabzetta, they clutch up and take the game back.
Nuti, Gabzetta, please stand up, let's celebrate this win. What an incredible performance from you, Nuti. Talk to me about those last moments. You did it as a duo.
Yes, I said that we're going to win, and we did it.
You absolutely did. You had so much confidence when you spoke to me earlier, and you only told me the truth. Gabzetta, You're going to Championship Sunday. You're representing Brazil. How does it feel?
Gabzeira, vocês ganharam, vão representar o Brasil na final. Como você se sente?
Me sinto realizado novamente, estar representando o Brasil novamente num palco gigantesco que é a FNCS. E é isso, vamos Brasil!
I'm so happy, I'm so accomplished right now, and just let's go Brazil.
Let's go, Brazil. Would you like to hear the crowd in Düsseldorf, Nuti?
What?
Would you like to hear the crowd, what they think of you here? All right then, Düsseldorf. What do you say? Do you like these guys? We can see the Brazilian flags above. We've got Brazilian fans behind us, and we've got Brazilian fans watching around the world. Congratulations, Nuti and Gabzeira. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you after the break.
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the summit. Big game here in game number 2. Congratulations to Nuti and Gabzeira, and vamos Brazil! We got a big victory royale. We got the co-streamers losing their minds over here after that big W. And of course, for the duo Viv, this is such a big moment.
And this is why this format is just so great. Coming from the upper bracket, of course, yesterday, it's incredible. When you take a look at their match history yesterday, they had one good game, which was a 6th place, which of course was not enough to kind of break them into that top 25. Outside of that 6th place game, they didn't even break the top 20. Like it was a complete fumble from them yesterday. And then you come into today, the first game from them was pretty good. They got 10th place. obviously the highlight for them is going to be the second game where they held the higher ground, won the game.
Yeah, I really like the way they took height as well. A typical height take for this meta. They, of course, went into the storm, used those overdrive grenades, combined with that miss, easily took height off Podesai and Sato, who just had to give it up at that point. And it's not easy from here on out, especially when the zone pulls back through these old builds. It can be really difficult for that height team to not get caught out, but some really nice shots from these guys.
Absolutely, and I'm not going to lie, Ritual obviously gets one knock right there in the 1v2. I got to be careful because I almost lost my voice. Absolutely screamed there. Made it scary for GabZero and Nuti, but they obviously ended up clutching up. Super, super excited to see them go straight into finals.
Yeah, man. And you got to think about that interview super early on at the start of the show, right? GabZero saying, hey, look, I'm looking to represent Brazil. I'm going to do my best. And sure enough, Game 2 Victory Royale. Oh, man, I cannot wait to see what they bring tomorrow in the finals. Reminder, we're not going to be seeing them for the rest of the games, right? They got their cards straight on through for everyone else. They're playing for top 19.
Yeah, nice to see. Did you have them in your predictions, Vivid?
Okay, Minnie, really? No, I did not.
You were like, yeah, 1 for 1, we're looking good.
Yeah.
I actually had them in my predictions, we just didn't show it.
Oh,
yeah, we didn't show it. Yeah, sorry, mate.
Me too.
Yeah, I like this format, though. I really like the way that, of course, they can walk off the stage, all the fans right next to the co-streamers. They were showing them so much love, so that feeling they must have had right there is unreal. Excited to see what happens at their drop spot right now, because that leaves that area down towards the south uncontested. Fellow Brazilian team, Gone and Knight, maybe they move over there. Will they have that same success? Because, of course, they land just next door that are contested, so maybe they'll make the switch.
I'm happy that you're still kind of talking about those smaller region teams. I remember yesterday we saw a stat that flown. It was like in game number 5, it was like, oh yeah, like 64% of the time an NA team has held the high ground. The other 36% of the time an EU team has held the high ground. Yeah. We need to run that stat again right now because it's completely flipped for sure. I mean, we saw Tiggs from the Middle Eastern region kind of control the higher ground in the first game. Right here, we got Nuti and GabZero, both small region teams controlling the high ground. I got to see that stat.
I agree, dude. You know what? In that last game, obviously, Ritual placing second. Dude, Richie was schmoving at the end. I really thought, yo, wait, Richie, hold on. You're in your flow state. You're going to make it happen. Obviously, just didn't have the HP to work with, but they're doing so well in consistency right now.
Yeah, they are. Really important game for these guys. Yeah, they didn't win. Yeah, of course, it was a second place. But in terms of consistency, they're going to be looking really, really good on that leaderboard. I feel like Richie doesn't get enough credit for his ability, Vivid. I feel like a lot of NA doesn't give him enough of that credit for his fragging ability because he's solid. I mean, making these plays really, really consistently in the end game, finding those eliminations, 1v2 against Hype right here. He gave it a good go, though.
Super, super close. It's the clean shot right there. Unfortunately, the return shot just made all of the difference right there. And look at him, he's upset. He's like, dude, I was so close. But yeah, after Agers goes down, who is often coined as kind of like the fragger of this duo, he was able to pick up those 1v1 situations on the low gun. Super, super clean. I'm not going to lie, as we were watching the game and both of these guys were kind of healthy on the low gun, I was like, oh yeah, they won. Agers gets knocked there. Ritual still puts up a great performance. They pick up second place.
Well, I want to take a look at these standings, man. Remember, we're trying to be top 19 in consistency or walk away the Victory Royale. Look at this.
Wow.
What once started is mostly EU dominated. Not no more. Shadow Virgo jumping up right there, but look, not that far behind, right? Akira Karama up 10 placements. Guys, it's starting to heat up.
Great game for Akira and Karama to kind of come back there. As you can see, they went up 10 placements. I think so some crazy stuff kind of happening off spawn for them, unfortunately. So, I mean, obviously, it's not, you know, haltering them too much. They're making it to the end games as it currently stands. Dropping down. Remember, at the end of the day, Minnie, we have to be top 19 because we already have 6 teams going through Victory Royale.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I'm looking at Chino and Pablo Wingu just on that border right now. A team that a lot of people would have looked at, potential champions at the end of the weekend. Difficult off-spawn situation for them. That whole POI, so many teams coming on in, trying to get some refarming, trying to get to those vending machines. It's just a little bit awkward for them off-spawn right now. I'm sure they'll be navigating that in different ways. Podesai and Sato there on that leaderboard, just breaking into that top 10. They went up, was it 38 places there? Unbelievable stuff from them, and that's what one game can do.
One game, that is all it takes. But right now, game 3 is ready. So casters, over to you.
What's going on, everybody out there? Game 3, we had to bring one of mine and Taco's duos, mine from the Passive West, yours in EU, Takata to join us on stage.
Great to be back. I was getting a little sick of the guys on the desk, you know, so I had to come back to my home turf here at the casting booth, and I'm ready to get started here.
Yeah, I mean, things have already been getting pretty rowdy at the start of day 2, and I'm sure that the action is just going to keep delivering because game 3 right on the horizon, and I'm sure anybody can bring it home, so let's see who takes it.
moving quick. 2 of them already down. 3rd game of the day. After this one, we'll be at the halfway point of day 2, where it really shows where you're at on the leaderboard and what you have to do.
Big things coming to mind. I mean, we had some surprise cons with Akira Kurama and North Boulevard. Same thing that actually happened in the EU Grand Finals leading up to this event. Also now, with Nudie Gabzera already having qualified, maybe another Brazilian duo will take over their spot, but we're going to kick things off in the Frigid Fortress, and it's not going to take long.
Now, Podesai just barely managed to escape, but he ran straight into Marius, who finishes the job for iDrop. Sato and Podesai just cannot withstand. The practice is really paying off big time here.
Yeah, these fights just getting wild. Yanis again returning back. It's not going over towards Sus Studio this time around, contesting on top of the rock. That's what you got to do sometimes, but it is going to be a 1v1, and one that Yanis won't win. ERX clutching up big.
Great way to close it out. Gonna pick up his teammate there as we move on over to the other side of the map. It's gonna be Muzz, Nathan, Nebs. There's a long battle going.
Muzz and Sphinx were looking for the fight. They made that very clear, but when you tell your opponent the game plan, Nebs, Nathan, they might have actually cooked something up for it. And at least for right now, even with Sphinx having gone down, it seems like Muzz is going to at least be able to play for the revive, and Nathan Nebs, they'd rather play a little bit more passive and prioritize controlling the actual POI.
Yeah, it almost makes you feel like they're not even the ones that got the knock. You'd almost be certainly sure that they would chase over, try to get that elim, but hey, when the dust settles, at least Muzz and Sphinx get a second chance here. So go back on over towards Riptide, something that we saw in that last game. We saw a little bit in the first game between Epicwell and Pump, and Vazen and Gerald on the other side. It starts off as a little bit of a split, but as the game goes on, we typically see third parties come in.
It's not peaceful for Vives though, with Visuals and Braids on their backs. Quick eliminations getting picked up. Not a fun start. This is a duo that originally was going to contest Pixie and Swizzy. Dark Dominion, we saw how that ended in game 1. Now getting elimed off spawn, they're going to have to pick things up for the second half of this tournament.
And it's not too surprising to see teams willing to try and mix it up, especially since we are technically at the halfway point for the day. If you don't find yourself with a victory royale, you can still try and bank on at least being in that consistency metric for top 19.
See so many early game fights. A couple players just trying to disengage, using the shockwaves or the gauntlets to try to create space, but it doesn't work. Kraze actually chases somebody underneath. He not only gets the elim, but you saw that little kind of new thing you don't see very often, the unstable molecule. Now he's going to get access to a rare chest in the middle of that.
Good deal. I already hear the excitement from the crowd, and he's just looted. Hold that thought, though, because Chino, he's just getting started. Quick knock. Pablo now disengaging as he's almost cracked. Has to be careful. His teammate, though, completely locked in. Going to give him a bit of time to heal on up. Salco, it is not looking good for you, my friend, as Chino continues with the push.
But Chino and Pablo, they are just a powerful duo to contend with, and knowing that you've already lost on the initial exchange, and with another duo crouch creeping up behind, it's Shadow and Virgo looking to take full advantage of what's been kicking off here. Salco is finished. No opportunities left in this match for that team, but Shadow, Virgo, they still want more. They want to see if they can take out Chino and Pablo with it.
Yeah, especially with that elimination on the Salco. Probably didn't net them much surge in that exchange. They're going to continue to get aggressive. One up below, one on the wall, but Pablo can be the X factor here in this fight, lurking around, trying to get a shot from above, and there he goes! A massive haymaker onto Shadow. Pablo, Chino, they have a chance to turn the fight, as Pablo gets back-to-back shots to change the tides of this fight.
There's a reason Pablo and Chino are some of the best on EU, as they do have to be careful, though, with the third party coming through. I mean, Shadow, Virgo, some of the most confident fighters in North America, but the tables, they just turn too quickly.
The problem with that, though, Chino and Pablo, they didn't have a whole lot of materials, and yet they just got an absolute loot llama because Shadow and Virgo were stacked. So even with one of them escaping, you still gave plenty of a refresh for Chino and Pablo after the fact, but now Clicks, Higgs, a little bit of a rough time to kick off the day. But the scenes can change at any moment. And when you know that there are duos fighting against each other like Mumsy and Skyjump, well, Higgs and Clicks, they're willing to try and send some shots their way.
Yeah, especially since you kind of realize what caused their downfall in that last game. And throughout the day one as well, it's just a lack of surge, lack of that early game damage. And I think Venno kind of spoke about it when he was doing the Telestrator. When you're sitting in the same spot month after month, tournament after tournament, teams start to take notice. They don't traverse through that side of the map anymore, making it harder for teams like Clix and Higgs to find their early game surge. Really forces them to go on the hunt for it. Even though it's Higgs trying to third party this fight, just get any damage. He's not necessarily looking for a full elimination. He's just looking to see what he can get.
Yeah, the issue is, if we look back yesterday at the upper bracket, Shark Teeny, they won 3-1 in the off spawns against Clix Higgs. And it's interesting because all the fights that Shark and Teeny were doing, they were finished them incredibly fast, whereas the one Clix to come took a while. But let's take a quick look at what Denny Kush and Tiggs are up to. It's Shadow ultimately falling.
I think it's great to be more proactive. Shadow and Virgo had the right idea. It's really just about the execution. When they found that first component of the elimination onto Salco, they just got a little too greedy with it. They didn't fully know what kind of position Chino and Pablo were in terms of HP differences, but that might have been enough to at least thwart him for Mini Bio to try and pick up after the fact, because that elimination feed showed Chino in it.
Yeah, it's just a tough way to things boil down to we're seeing in that last game multiple wipes of full duos. We've seen full eliminations, and it kind of led to teams still being below the damage threshold. The longer and longer fights go, sometimes when you continue to trade shots, it's not necessarily the best of the situation, even if you get the eliminations. But see how it all played out. Chino trying to learn underneath, but Cocoon was able to get that elimination, catches him sneaking, and now a whole nother team, Repairs and Fast Roki, are going to take down Pablo next.
This is not what you like to see if you're a European fan for Pablo and Chino. On the other end, I mean, Repairs is actually playing with a backup player for Strokey, so they haven't had as much time to kind of build that chemistry as a duo, but I mean, looks like so far this match might be that turning point for them.
But even as a newer pairing, Strokey is still a veteran at the game. He has so much experience in these kinds of environments specifically, and that sort of leadership can definitely extend himself into a positive direction. They've had a decent day already, and they're just looking to try and see whether or not they can circumvent the rest of these games, find that victory royale and close things out, make it to finals.
That's such an interesting stat right there that popped up. At Kira and Kurama are the only team worldwide, by the way, to win 3 games in that second chance qualifier just to make it there. And this is why we're always talking about warm-ups, being tested right now. Sometimes those are the trials and tribulations you need to go through to get better at the end of the day.
100%. They also have a favorable zone here, and another duo that has a favorable zone is Yuma and Koyota. Now, if you're Yuma Koyota, Game 1 was a miracle for you, having the team that's contesting you instantly qualify and be good to go now, giving you that freedom at the drop spot. Issue is, in terms of points, not looking too great. Hopefully, they'll be able to turn it around.
Part of their struggles are still trying to contend with the other duos that are making use of those collision corridors, though. It's very difficult to actually try and take over what's above ground and what's below. So with that in mind, Yuma and Koyota, they've still got a lot of work cut out for them, but Agers and Ritual, night and day difference from how yesterday went for these two. They've already basically done enough in terms of the consistency metric, but it's more than that for these two. They want to make a statement. They want to find a win.
Laughing to myself right now, Taco, because I was going to say that exact same thing. A night and day difference from Ritual and Agers. Hey, the wonders a good night's sleep can do, especially for you're one of the most prepared teams. Day one, sometimes you stumble, but it's not about how you fall. It's about how you pick yourself back up. And Agers, Ritual, they're doing that perfectly today.
Yeah, I mean, not only sleep, also now being uncontested, right? At Latte, going from being con to on-con definitely helps a lot. And you can see what they are truly capable of when they can execute on their original strategies and plans going into this tournament, as Josh Riley and Iamzo are going to take their rotate.
Eyedrop and Medius started off this match with a really nice off-spawn cleanup onto Podesai and Sato. And will that be the catalyst for these two? Because we've seen them at least making it somewhat into the end games, but the placements, there's still more left to be desired. And they're actually going to spot out Iamzo and Josh Riley on this rotate. A bit brutal here for Josh and Zoe because they were hoping to just skirt by unnoticed.
Yeah, that's preparation at its finest. I'm honestly thinking for them to look up. We got that point of view of Josh and Niamzo. Look at the launch pad, and as I'm thinking it, they immediately know it, and that goes to show they prepared for this moment. You don't just qualify for the Summit Land and do everything the same it takes to get here. You have to one-up even yourself in a competition this big, and that's why you see more and more teams trying to rotate to the zone early, which leaves a lot of freedom inside of the zone, and that's why a team like Scare and Osid will be able to benefit from this position.
Yeah, also Scare Osid, I mean, they have Shadow Virgo directly south of them, and having them already been taken out of the match, they have a bit more freedom on this rotate, considering the zone is pulling more towards Dark Dominion. They don't have to make a long rotate. They have a bit of time to get extra mats, extra loot, and prepare themselves for that end game.
Muzz and Sphinx, that little bit of a hiccup in the early game has not seemed to deter them too heavily. Loadouts decent. Fully aware of the fact there is Surge Base just up ahead. Whether or not they know that it belongs to Nebs and Nathan, it's easy to make that kind of estimated guess, but more importantly, Muzz and Sphinx are not a duo that we would have ever anticipated to even be in this position to begin with, and even now, Jacob, 4 points only at the halfway measure.
Yeah, just one elimination. Haven't been able to make it in the top 25, but hey, as this format permits, sometimes it's just one game, one victory royale. They're going for a little bit of a lurk onto Nathan and Nebs, but they do get spotted out. Nebs catches a couple of shots onto Muzz, forcing him back down the side of the mountain, which is honestly, in terms of rotation, isn't necessarily a bad thing for Muzz and Sphinx. They can go around the southern end.
I mean, good news for Muzz and Sphinx, though. Despite having low points, all you need is a VR. If you get that win, it will automatically qualify you to Sunday, so they've got 3 more chances. I mean, we'll see if they can make it happen. Quick replay onto what happened to King and Phaser. Not looking too hot.
They just fell into the classic Venus flytrap of picks and ghosts. These two love waiting around by Toy Box Docs for teams that are specifically hoping to play for the reboot. You think, I'm so deep in the storm, there's no way anyone else is going to still be out here, and then there's picks and ghosts to do it.
I love this duo because if you think back when they were starting it off on EU, we had Ghost playing with Payson, Pix playing with Merstash. I mean, legendary names in the EU region. Didn't work out for them, so they kind of had that last-minute synergy built, and, you know, now they're looking quite strong here in the lower bracket, so hopefully we can see a big match from them.
And Pix, have to remember, he's already watched his former trio mates, Darman, Demish, make it through, and not only that, but first place on day 1 overall. So when you pair that sort of ambition with Ghost, I think that you can definitely anticipate those two to continue moving their way up on that leaderboard.
Yeah, I see Night and Gone right now. They just outside of Sus Studios. You can tell just by the loot they have on the ground, and even more so in their inventory, they're able to get as much as they could out of that mending machine. And you guys all know there's only a certain amount of actual med kits and heals and even usages for those recharges in those mending machines. They went ahead, grabbed all that extra, moved it to the line of the zone. So that way, when it continues to pull further, moving into that 5-tick, they have more time and space to work with.
See another team that fell short in the upper bracket yesterday by only, what, a few points. 1 elimination is what they needed. Avian diminished. On the other side, we've got Alex Reckless representing OCE, now with 566 above Surge. They don't need a fight here. They just need to not get cracked.
Fortunately, they do have so much surge, like you just called out, Takata, that they can just take a moment to try and breathe. But Alex shut down. One of the most difficult aspects of making it a little bit later to that edge of zone is trying to avoid those shots from the players that have already situated themselves, along with other teams that are also a little bit late to that extension point. But Reckless now gonna have to do what he can. 2 Chug Jugs, though, to work with, so he'll at least be able to take things out for a bit. But that big buffer zone that they built up of the surge threshold just disappearing so quickly.
And they're not the only ones going through struggles, though. You see on the other side, Clix and Higgs below the damage threshold again. They don't really get to play out the game in which they wanted to. Time and time again, when you're below, you kind of have to force whatever situation presents itself. Clix and Higgs jumping on the eye drop in Marius. It's now or never. They need damage, not necessarily the eliminations, but you can take what you can get. Now out of heals, Higgs on a timer here, 25 damage, 1 more tick. He goes in trying to sacrifice himself for damage. A much needed one for Clix. Clix, but he disengages. This was not a win for them, but instead a win for Marius and iDrop.
Left alone as a solo, quickly falls short. As Clix and Higgs once again continuing to try and find what they can do. Good news, I mean, halfway through the tournament, I can see them coming through from a VR, but through points and consistency, it's going to be tough.
You say that, but Takada, I'm so sorry to have to cut you short on that, because all I'm thinking about right now is probably the same thing Clix is thinking about. 2023, he was in the lower bracket, and he didn't make it out. And yes, I understand there's 3 games left to work with as Zoe finds himself exiting this lobby with Josh, but Takada, it is difficult to overcome some of the mental battles here.
And I was talking to Levin Vivid. They think if anyone's going to be able to win a game, it's going to be Clix and Higgs, but it hasn't been looking good to kick things off. Velo, one of 3 players to have not made a major finals, but qualified to a LAN. Let's see what you're capable of.
Yeah, and honestly, the last divisional finals in NA Central, by the way, it was Velo, Zynox, player not here, that took on Peterbot and Koyo. And depending on how you look at it, 3-1, 3-2, they took the fight to them. And now you can kind of feel that even if they make it through into the finals, are they going to back down? I don't think that's going to be the case.
Definitely not, as Kurama, Akira, they've been playing through from that north side of Battlewood Boulevard. Good amount of points already built up on the day for their leaderboard position, but what they've got to do right now is try to prevent the rest of the duo, or the rest of the lobby, from collapsing in on them. Mr. Savage and Velo, though, checking back in with these 2. We have seen them transition into top 5 performances when they make it to the end game. But it's one thing to have zones in your favor, it's another to actually have the moving zones go your way.
Yeah, luckily for them though, 400 above the damage threshold. Takes a quick chop there, but they reunite together in the same box. Pizza's being dropped. They're going to heal up to give themselves a fighting chance as we continue to rotate over from Sus Studios towards the edge of Battlewood Boulevard. And that's where you see Chap and Flixie. They're just waiting for that perfect moment. The zone is moving slower on their side versus on the north, so they have much better timing here.
Good news is they're also on the uncongested side, but they can't take too long. If they wait, if they struggle, if they stagger, those teams that got in ahead are going to look back and take their shots, just like Ju and Padilla.
They opted to go one after the other, though, but Ju, Padilla, every time that these guys are on screen, you can expect the heart of Germany to follow with it. Now it's all about ensuring that they stay together in some of these endgame moments. Nebs, Nathan, though, what a great position, trying to see if they can take over a height. It's more importantly still, when they actually make their move towards front side, they want to be able to stop anybody else from challenging them while they go forward.
302 above the damage threshold. Only 7 players need to go down. Storm Surge will no longer be a worry. They're just building up. They're solidifying the high ground, but Scare out of nowhere, trying to give a little bit of a jump scare to Neb, but he's able to deal with that problem quickly. No time lost, only a little bit of heal.
Nebs did not get frightened. Velo in the feed, though, has gone down. Mr. Savage is now left as a solo.
Players still surrounding him. You can